Right, everybody, welcome to a brand new trader interview. Today, we are firstly graced by our CEO, Sean. He's here to sit in on the action. Welcome, brother. Thank you very much for being here. We've also got a very talented trader, Rudy, who's here all the way from Coventry with us, originally from Slovakia, right? He, firstly, he recently lost a lot of his funding because of a certain funding company. I won't mention any names, losing, their license. Well, not their license, but they're freezing the operations. And now he's had to look elsewhere. And he recently decided to get an account with Blue Guardian, and he's managed to get his first payout recently. And he's on his way to making more payouts and scaling with Blue Guardian. So we wanted to chat to him a little bit about that and his journey on looking for a new prop firm that he can trade with. So, welcome. I just wanted to chat a bit about your trading journey first, and how did you end up, firstly getting into trading, and how long ago was that?
So I started about 3.5 years ago. There was this company. It all started with a message really on the Instagram from a person like, "Oh, you want to make some money online?" And I was like, "Well, you get these messages many really, but this one was a bit different." And I'm like, "Okay, so what is it about?" "Oh, we have an academy that is teaching people how to make money trading forex." I was like, "Okay, so let's have a look." So me and my friend, we are like, "Okay, let's try it." But the fees there were a bit too high, and we found out later that the quality of the teaching wasn't that well. So we've been looking around for the courses and mentorships, and the fact that there is only few percent of the people successful in this was what really drive me forward. Drove me forward. Like, I want to be one of the small percent of the successful people, because it's really hard. It's really hard business. So that's why I chose it really.
Right. And when did you start to see some traction and see some success? Obviously, you got funded with this other company as well. You had You had three 50K accounts, right? Right. And you withdrew from them quite consistently as well. Um, when did you start to get that traction? Also, were you profitable before you discovered prop firms, or was it more a case of prop firms helped you become profitable and put you into that mindset of trading like a professional, basically?
Yeah, so I basically never had before the kind of savings that I could use for trading. Yeah, so I was searching for the way how to use more capital to make more money, and this is when I found out about prop firms, and yeah, that's when I started to be really profitable. Because first 2.5 years were just where people are trying to find their holy grail. So you're jumping from the strategy to strategy and trying all sorts of things, and then basically after 2.5 years ish, I've started to see some money coming back.
Right, right. So the time period was about 2.5 years, right? So I always say this to a whole ton of people, like, at the very least, you're going to take about a year if you are very, very efficient. For me, it took 4.5 years, seriously. Yeah, basically to get to this point now, 4 years of just making the same mistakes over and over and then just knocking them out. What was some of the mistakes that you found that were really standing in your way of being, not profitable and getting to that profitable point?
See, the problem is exactly the jumping the strategies, and everyone should just stick to whatever suits him. There is nothing really better than that. It all depends on the psychology, really. So you are the edge. So you need to find a way of how to manage yourself, and then it's going to go better. So as soon as I realized this, it was a game changer for me. A proper risk management, and to be aware of what's happening with your emotions.
Right. And would you say that discovering prop firms in general and starting to trade with them helped you make that switch a little bit?
Yes, because of the rules, obviously. You have a limited daily drawdown, and that keeps you to follow the risk management, because you can't go over the drawdown. So you need to plan it properly. So definitely the prop firms are a big game changer for people to realize that, oh yeah, I need to stick to the rules to make.
How long ago did you find out about prop firms, and how quickly did you decide to purchase an evaluation?
So I was aware, I would say, from the start, but I first I first wanted to learn something more, and then I took my first small account, and obviously I failed many times. I failed maybe about 15, 20 challenges before I started to make money.
Well, that's actually a statistic that we've noticed, that it's actually about 15 to 20 challenges before a trader actually gets a payout. And I'm pretty sure it's across multiple prop firms, the same statistics. So that's quite interesting to actually hear that in person as well.
And what do you think was different about you than other people that was willing to fail 15, 20 times before starting to see something back? What do you think stopped you from like just giving up?
Well, maybe it's not in my nature to give up. Sportsman since my childhood, so for me everything is I like the challenge. So for me it was like I'm not gonna quit until I achieve it. So I just had to.
That's amazing, that's great.
Yeah, we also just found out that Rudy is a competitive arm wrestler as well, which is really interesting. Do you think that's also obviously part of your sporting kind of repertoire? Obviously, that feeds into your competitiveness, I'd say. And when you're a competitive person, you really don't want to get beaten by this thing, right? And so you kept going until you made it. And I think that there's a lot of people that are just like, I've taken enough of a beating here, I'm going to just stop. But I also think as well, you started off kind of small as well, right? You didn't go for big accounts right off the bat. Am I right?
Correct, yeah. Because I see many people, especially the new guys now, they see only the big numbers, and you know that the big accounts, the fee is big for them, yeah? So what's the point of losing a big fee straight away? So it's better to start small, and especially for me, when I start with a new company, I always go for the cheapest account just to see if the payout is correct, if everything is as it should, the spread, slippage, all these. So there's no point to go for a big account straight away.
I always recommend that to traders as well, like start with a small account, know what the process is like, know what the spread, what it's like to trade with actual firms, support, and then then look if you actually profit on that smaller account size, then look to go for the higher account sizes.
Yeah, totally agree.
I think as well, when, for example, this company that just recently froze their operations and you lost obviously a bunch of your funding, what were the emotions that went through your head when that happened? And then what was your plan of action after that? And what process were you going to go through to try and regain, what you had lost?
So I was obviously upset. It's like losing savings. You can tell, yeah. And basically, because I'm watching one YouTube channel, I had it in my mind, your company, and I've heard about it before. I was like, oh, this is maybe the next one I should try.
Yeah, it was Trading Nut, right?
Yeah,
yes.
Trading Nut. So yes. I didn't know if I can mention.
Yes, definitely.
Oh, wait, so he saw Blue Guardian Trading Nut.
Yeah,
yes.
That's fine. Yeah, because I'm watching these interviews with the successful traders. That keeps me going as well. Like to see people that achieved it already. Because sometimes when you have these doubts, you're like, oh no, it can't be achievable. But then you see other people who achieved it already, and if they did, then you can definitely as well.
Yeah. I think that's one of the most valuable things, and I think that's why people like Trading Nut. Also, words of wisdom as well, brilliant. Like actually showing the proper journey of traders, because all you see on Instagram and social media is the winning part of it. You don't see the difficult part of it. And when you start to lose so much, you're like, I'm doing something wrong here. And that's why people start to give up. So people like Cam from Trading Nut, Riz, Words of Wisdom, all of them, they really like showing the real story behind. It's like, the thing is, you can't capture somebody's story in a small, like, Instagram reel. You need the long conversation. I think that's why those channels are really just so valuable. And it stops a lot of people from giving up as well. So you exactly, what is your plan of action to sort of like get back to where you were? And I also want to, after that, dive a little bit deeper into what your journey was like with the previous company that you previous prop firm you worked with, and like what your achievements were with them as well.
So I found out that what works for me the best is to have a couple of accounts, and when I'm getting payouts on a small account, I feel like I basically deserve to go higher. Yeah, so I let the smaller account to pay for the bigger account. So my next goal basically from this small account is to get to bigger ones and then to bigger ones again. So I think the only way to achieve the consistency is to have a plan and to kind of stick to your rules. And that's why if I can buy the account now, the 100K account, but what's the point? I need to feel that I deserve it. So if I make money trading for the bigger account, that's when I know I'm going to hold the bigger account and keep getting payouts from the bigger account as well.
Exactly. So get humble about it as well. Like, yeah, you don't want to jump in too quickly.
Yeah, well, if you rush something, it always ends up badly.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's also key to your success is because you started off small and firstly prove, like it's a proof of concept. If I can do it with a small account, then taking it to a big account is just a number, just adding some zeros on the end, you know, and making it a bit bigger. And a lot of people, they jump head first and they buy the biggest challenge they can buy right off the bat, and then when they fail they're screwed. They're like their emotions go completely through the floor, and now they don't want to, you know, they're like traumatized almost, instead of like slowly building their way up. I guess it's kind of like going into the gym and like trying to go for the biggest weights possible, and then like you know you injure yourself so badly that you can't go back, you know.
I'll be honest, like I actually did make that mistake when I first started out. I was literally thinking, go for the 200K account size now. I was already planning what I was going to do with the money once I become funded. I was like, okay, so I'm going to make this amount of percentage. It's going to equal this amount. So I'm going to go on holiday, and then straight away, first actual like 2 days in, I ended up blowing the account, and it was a real it's a real reality hit, and you're like, oh, okay, it's really not that simple. It's really not as easy as that, and yeah, it definitely did scar me. And I decided, you know what, I need to go slow and, you know, go for a lower account size next time.
And when you were with your previous funding company, how many withdrawals did you manage to do with them, if I can ask?
Quite a few.
So like more like how much roughly did you end up withdrawing, if I can ask you? Okay, wow, that's really good, and that's also like again proof of concept. And you started small again, like you said. So you got like 10K accounts, and then you went to the 50K ones. Right, and do you trade them separately as well? Do you take the same trade across all, or do you manage them separately?
See, many people are copy trading their own accounts, and if you make a mistake on one, you just blow all of them. So what I do is when I achieve 3 to 5% on one account, I stop trading it. I'm moving to the next account.
Awesome. Yes, I've spoken about that as well before. I think it's important. It's kind of like that game show, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? You can kind of like bank some profits. So whatever happens, you're going home with that amount. You can go on to the next one and keep trying, you know? Yeah.
That's one of the first time I've actually heard someone do that, where they buy multiple, make profit on one account, leave that then and move to the next one.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Yeah.
So even if I lose one of them, I still have two that will give me money. And now you have every 14 days you have a payout. So having 3 funded accounts, achieving 3 to 5% on each of them, you have basically every 14 days money.
Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of what I try to do as well. But I also heard of a bunch of other people doing it as well. It's kind of like a little bit of a hack. Everybody wants to try and make the maximum amount of money they can make, rather than making a small amount, banking it, and then, hey, like psychologically, I don't really care what happens next because it's banked. I know I'm going to get this money in 14 days or whatever, and then I can trade it again. It's like a fresh start every time.
That really like eases your psychology a lot more, because it's not the whole, you know, the pressure. It's one account. If I lose it, that's everything gone.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Exactly.
I think that the people are looking at it, the more you trade, the more you make. But I'm looking at it, the less you trade, the less you risk.
Yes, I like that.
Yeah, exactly. And you, at the end of the day, being a trader isn't about making trades. It's about managing your capital. It's about risk managing. It's about making sure your downside is less than your upside. And the less drawdown you have, the better. And if you trade constantly, if you, like, you'll know this, if you take lots of trades, you're more like, yes, maybe you'll make more money at the end of the day, but you're going to incur more drawdown. So it's just one of those things, right? When you were, for example, like I said, I keep referring back to the old company as well. But they, how was your experience with them, trading with them versus coming over to Blue Guardian? And like you said, you discovered Blue Guardian on Trading Nut as well. What was that element was it just seeing them on Trading Nut that made you trust them? Or was it, you know, did you do a bit more digging about us before?
Yeah, so the first company, the spreads were not the best. slippage, especially during the news. I like to risk during the news a bit, and I had a trade where during the news it skipped over my stop loss over 50 pips, so that was straight away a breach of the rules. Yeah, so when it comes to Blue Guardian, I've seen it straight away after I turned on my MetaTrader and logged in, because I've seen straight away that the spreads are good. And obviously I've asked people who are trading already with you, so I knew that the spreads are very good. There is no ridiculous rules like in many of other prop firms, so I had to try, and I'm happy I did.
So you said then that you asked for people that were trading rules. How did you like get in contact with them? Did you like message them through Discord, or was it other groups that you were in?
Yeah, well, yeah, you know, trading is more about community, so I'm in more groups, and we talk about prop firms and payouts and all these, and especially when all these things happen with the company, we don't mention the name, people started to talk like what we're going to do next, or we lost this and this amount of money, where we go next. So yeah, then that's when we discovered basically in Blue Guardian more of us.
Obviously when that other company stopped, there was a lot of like fear and uncertainty, like you said. And a lot of people kind of approach it. There's two different styles of taking it. There's a certain group of people that were just like, oh well, we knew that regulations and stuff was going to happen eventually. And yes, maybe there was some dodgy stuff happening allegedly. We don't know, but like. Am I going to continue to blame this as being a problem? Or is this the reason that I struggle to be profitable? Or am I just going to find another alternative? What do you think about those people that are now like, oh, all prop firms are doing this now, and they've kind of like written off prop firms? Because there's a lot of people that are just like, why would I even bother with any prop firm now? And they don't trust anybody. What would you say to those people?
Well, if you buy a Ford and it's going to be needing the service every 5 to 10 days, then you stop buying cars. You obviously go for a different brand, yeah? You don't just swap a car for a bicycle just because, oh, one car is bad and all of the cars will be bad, yeah? So, yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good analogy, because I actually feel like people are just like, yeah, I think I'm just going to walk rather. And I'm just like, why?
Even now, like so many people play prop firms are just a scam only because of that.
Yeah.
Like, you need to look into it more. It's like one bad egg spoiling it for the rest of them. And yeah, it's a shame. Like even with the situation with Deal, that one company now has made Deal not want to work for any prop firms, which is such a shame because they were such like the process with them was so easy to get paid. So I really hope other companies and people in general like start noticing it's not prop firms as a whole. It's these one or two bad companies out there that make it a bad name sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. I think that a lot of people, like I said, they use it as an excuse to just like write it off, and they're just like, I'm not gonna get a car again. I'm just gonna walk anyway, and they make their lives so much harder. Like they could be thriving. The thing is, prop firms give this opportunity of like insane leverage, because if you think about it, you're paying, for example, you're paying what $500 for $100,000 account on average. Probably a bit less at Blue Guardian. It's a bit less if you've got a discount as well. But that leverage that you're getting is insane. If you had to deposit a $500 into a brokerage, you've got $500. I mean, what are you going to flip that to realistically? Not very much. But if you've got $100,000, and yes, if your drawdown limit is at 8 or 10, but then you've still got $8,000 to play with, right? $10,000 to play with in some cases. So like realistically, you've got so much more to play with. Your leverage is increased massively. But then there's people that are like, nah, I'm just going to trade with a broker or something like that. And I'm just like, why? You're going backwards. And I think people just have like trust issues. So it's interesting. It's interesting. It'll be interesting to see like how people start to come around. But I think people have realized it was just like one bad apple, and it doesn't need to spoil everybody's success, right? In terms of your trading, where are you looking to take your accounts with Blue Guardian? What's your like plan of action for scaling up?
So the next goal is to go for 350k accounts, and they will buy me 300k accounts, and then we'll see.
Okay, awesome. I think that that's a very good idea, and I think as well you're still not moving too fast either. It's a nice like progression, and I think a lot of people just want to move too fast, and I think the key is to take it slow and steady and have a long-term goal, not try and make money in like the next month, like a crazy amount of money.
I mean, like, I like how you're doing steps, because I'll be honest, like, some traders go for the high account sizes. They see the money that they're making or losing on an account, and like the psychology completely goes out the window. It's very different trading a 10k account than trading a 100k account, because you might be down a trade, 1-2%. It only is a couple hundred bucks, but then compared to a 100k account, it's thousands, and you're not used to it. So it's better to go in steps, get used to the seeing the bigger numbers, and it's more like manageable that way.
And also, again, you're increasing the number of accounts that you have as well. So again, you've got more chances to bank profits. So you're splitting your risk, right? So you're taking a trade here. Okay, maybe it's a loss. Take a trade here. Okay, it's a win. And I can bank profits on that account now and move on to another account. So either way, you're kind of like guaranteeing yourself payouts. If you've got multiple accounts, one of your trades is going to be a win and you're going to be able to bank some money, right? So you're increasing your odds a lot, which is really impressive. And that's something that I've spoken about as well in the past. Your trading strategy, right? How would you kind of describe, if you had to describe it in one sentence, how would you describe your trading strategy?
It's kind of advanced smart money concept, really. A bit of ICT, a bit of SMC.
Okay, so it's like very like liquidity based. You're looking at like supply and demand and that kind of stuff. How, if you had to kind of describe your like entry criteria, what would it be?
I'm waiting for 15-minute order blocks. The order block I have to meet some specific criteria, and then basically when the price comes back to my 15-minute order block, I'm waiting on 1 minute for the price action it gives me, and there is two patterns I'm using, which are all basically about liquidity buildup and then sweeping the liquidity into the order block, and that's where my entry is.
How did you end up like formulating your trading strategy? Was it like pulling from a lot of different things, or was it just some trial and error on your part?
Firstly, pulling from a lot of different things, and then I found my own way of how it works for me.
Okay. So you really did like workshop a bunch of different methodologies together, kind of?
Yeah, it was what suits your personality, really. So that 1 minute was interesting for me, even though people are saying it's a bit too messy. But I was always excited about it 1 minute. And what I don't want to do is spend all day in front of the charts. So if you want to leave your work one day where you're spending 9 to 10 hours, you don't want to be doing the same on charts. So I have a specific time when I'm waiting for what the price will give me, and if it gives me, I'm going for the trade. If it doesn't give me, I'm not going.
How many trades on average do you take a week, would you say?
So it depends really on the setup, but I'm trying to go for as least amount as possible, so maybe 10.
Okay, that's still a fair amount, but also because you are splitting your risk among different accounts as well, I think that's also really good. Like, what's your risk reward ratio in general, or do you have a fixed risk reward ratio?
Yeah. So I'm going mainly for 3R. If I have a feeling that it can go longer, I'm gonna close the majority of the position and leave the rest running.
Is your stop loss like a variable stop loss, or do you have like a set stop loss size?
It's dependent on the structure.
Okay. And then when you got to that strategy, out of curiosity, did you go straight? What was your process? Did you go straight into like testing it live, like on a demo, or did you like collect a whole bunch of previous data on it and back test it a lot and journal a lot of it?
I don't really like back testing, so I'm doing forward testing and tape reading.
Yes.
So, and yeah, obviously the data collecting is very important because it shows you where you're going wrong and how much you could make on each trade, and you can average it, and then you find out, I didn't have to go 2R trades, you could go more. And during the challenge, I have a bit different risk management than with the live account.
Right. And why would you say it's more beneficial to do like forward testing rather than back testing? Would you say it's more like the emotions or something like that you prefer to do that?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
That's why I never really traded on demo. I prefer always to put a small capital into the brokerage account and just to trade small lots, just to have the feeling how it really works and already feel the losses.
Yeah.
Because I think that it's all about creating habits, and on demo you can create really bad habits because you don't care. So you just load the lot sizes, you know.
And also, like on demo, it's very different compared to trading actual live account. You know, with conditions. I know so many traders that are profitable on demo accounts. Then they go to like a live account, for example, or maybe like a funded account, and because the conditions are different, they're getting, you know, for example, slippage, live environment, and yeah, it's like the strategy's not working exactly the same as it did in demo. So it is good to test it out in demo, make sure you're profitable that way as well.
Yeah, it just depends. The thing is, because you have the self-control and you stuck to the small accounts, I'd say it would work for you, but for others, potentially maybe not, because they don't have that self-control. And that's why, like I suggest a lot of people start on demo, because it's a very slippery slope. Like if you deposit, for example, if it's a brokerage kind of example, or if you're buying challenges, really, it doesn't matter. But it's a slippery slope of like, I'm going to buy this 10K challenge. Okay, I just blew it in one trade. I'm going to buy another one, and I'm going to buy another one, and I'm going to buy another one. Whereas you're going to take it slow, and you're going to collect your data and actually stick to your plan. And that's the thing. The demo kind of teaches you to stick to the plan first, and then you can kind of start to move. But for you, I think you just had the self-control already which is rare, to go straight onto live and like really like prosper, I think. It's interesting. There's different types of traders out there. Some people just get it more quickly, and other people like myself take ages. I mean, I was that one. Like I should have started on demo and stuck on it for a long time because I just didn't have the self-control. I just kept over leveraging. I kept like trying to make quick money, you know.
Was it something that was on challenges?
So it was on brokerages and on normal broker accounts as well as funding accounts. I think with funding accounts, it's just so easy to get into that kind of thing of just continuing to buy more challenges and blow them, you know. And when you don't have a proper plan, and even if you do have a proper plan, sticking to it is the problem. Like, for example, you take your trade and it's going against you, and now you, for example, move your stop loss. And you keep moving your stop loss. And then maybe you try and martingale yourself out of the position, right? To get to break even or make a little bit of profit. And then, you know, it's just pure, like, that's just degenerate gambling, right? And it's about getting out of that mentality, because I had that, like, when I first started out, I was not supposed to be a trader because I had that mentality hard. I was just like pure gambling. And I think a lot of people, their journey is just getting out of that mentality of being a pure gambler. And then moving into being like more of a professional trader. But I think you came into it with a lot more of like a professional outlook. Yeah, but I think you got over it a lot quicker. Yeah. What would you recommend to like people that are starting out now? Like if you had to start like today, would you do anything different from then? And if so, what would it be?
Well, it was definitely a ride. So I enjoyed even the losing and all that. It was exciting. But I think it's very important to go for a good mentorship. Not to save money on that, because there is many leaked videos and all this, but the mentor will answer your questions, which you can't ask questions in the leaked material. Yeah, so there is lots of material. It's good to watch some of it just to find out what you're after, what you think it's going to be good for you, and then find a mentor, pay for the mentorship, and then take it from there. And definitely use the programs if you are not lucky that you are born in a rich family or something.
And when it comes to finding that mentor, there's so many that are like pretty much fully BS. How do you comb through all of that and find somebody? What's like some of the red flags that you would say avoid when you're trying to find somebody to mentor you?
Well, you see all these fake gurus on the Instagram with Lambos and things, but I wouldn't say all of them are fake, but most of them, it's all about marketing. They want to sell the mentorship. Many of them are not even traders, they're just making money off the mentorships. They copied somebody else's concept and that's it. So, because there is loads of these communities, you can always ask the people who are really making the money, like, okay, so where did you study from, who was your mentor? So there is groups where people can find who is a good mentor, who not. Sadly, there will be still people scammed, but yeah, I think you need to sometimes get scammed to realize that this is not the way.
It's trial and error at the end of the day. I mean, like you find something and you realize this isn't it for me, and eventually you figure out, okay, so this is what I'm looking for, and you figure out what you're looking for, but it is going to take failure to get there, really.
What about you, Ethan? Like, did you like start with a mentor, or did you end up teaching yourself, or how did you get into it?
Mostly YouTube. I've had like many different mentors, but I think YouTube taught me the most.
Okay.
I think again, just trial and error, really. And it's also about finding out what will work with your lifestyle, and also like your risk appetite. Like, are you looking to get the like 3R trades, or you're willing to, for example, take a few more losses in between? Or do you want to go for like 1-to-1s and get like a bit more wins, you know? So you have to figure out what kind of trader you are, and also like your lifestyle. So that's like really just trial and error as well. And most of the big traders now that are really successful, they have their own strategy that they've created themselves through trial and error. That you know, they're not copying somebody directly. They've created something that's like bespoke to them, that only works, you know, for them, right? And you can copy that, but most people won't be able to make it work because it's just not theirs. It's not designed for them. Yeah. So, for example, when you look out at like the vast majority of traders that are failing, right, out at the moment, and a lot of them are like blaming, for example, like prop firms, or they're just against us, brokers, they're just against us, there's no way to make it work. What do you think is the biggest downfall of traders nowadays that makes up 90% of them failing?
So I think the patience, they just want to achieve quickly, that's the first thing. And second thing, just because of all this Instagram thing, it's the realistic expectations. They think they can make 100% in one trade and stuff like that. And that's why I told you that the system account works for me. It's when I achieve certain percentage, I just stop and move to another account because that's realistic. So I'm not chasing clouds, I'm just taking what is achievable. Obviously, I believe there is traders who are making loads of money and making it easy after those years, but you can get there slowly and steadily. It's the same like in sports. You mentioned it already. You can't go to gym and lift 200 kilos on bench press straight away because you need to build it up slowly.
I would also say, like, don't believe everything you see on social media. You see so many like these traders all made 100%, or I saw one video, it's like how I turned £100 to a million or something ridiculous, something like that. And it's like, you really should not believe all this. A lot of it's just marketing to get views and, you know, to generate more money for them. So really, it is your own journey, and everyone's journey is different. So yeah.
Rudy, just quickly, when you trade your challenge accounts versus when you've got the funded account, right? Do you trade them differently to your funded account?
It's only about the risk management, really. So in the challenge, I'm risking 0.5% on a position, and in funded account, I'm risking 0.25%.
Okay.
So I'm going more with a lot less risk, I would say, more conservative.
And going with that very low risk when you funded, do you think that helps your psychology a lot? Just so you can essentially almost get like 40 losses in a row, which is amazing. But that's the thing as well. People over leverage, and they put themselves into this corner, and then suddenly they try to over leverage themselves out or martingale themselves out. So I think that's a really brilliant way to approach it. And I think it's something similar to what I do as well. I also max like 0.5% when trading, because at least then you've got like 20 shots, you know, you got 20 bullets in the chamber, and you're not like putting yourself in a corner. Is there any other kind of tip that you would give to like beginner traders out there now that want to get started?
Well, we mentioned the social media. So once you find your strategy, just stay off social medias and work on yourself, and then when you master it, then you can have a look what's happening outside.
Right. Yeah, I think that's key. Well, thank you very much, Rudy. Really appreciate it. Your insights are very valuable, and I think our audience will really enjoy what you had to say and learn a lot from it. So thank you very much for coming through. Yeah. So everybody, thank you for watching. If you guys enjoyed it, please do subscribe down below and let us know what your thoughts are and what you want to see in future videos. So cheers, everybody. See you in the next one.